Betrayal is not just an act, it is an experience that shakes the very foundation of trust. When someone close to you betrays your faith in them, the pain is not just about what they did, it is about the expectations you had, the connection you believed in, the truth you thought existed. It is like suddenly realizing that the ground beneath your feet is not solid. You feel as if the very reality you trusted has crumbled. This is why betrayal hurts so deeply. It is not just about losing a person, it is about losing a sense of security within yourself. And the mind, being what it is, plays the betrayal over and over again. It asks 100 questions. Why did this happen? How could they do this to me? What did I do wrong? These questions may seem valid, but tell me, do they serve any purpose? Do they bring clarity, or do they simply add fuel to the fire of pain? The first mistake people make when dealing with betrayal is believing that holding on to anger will give them power. They think that if they stay angry, they are keeping their dignity, that their resentment is a form of justice. But have you ever seen a person who is consumed by anger truly at peace? Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It does not hurt them, it only destroys you from within. The reality is most people who betray others act out of their own limitations, their own ignorance, their own blindness. It is not that they sat down and carefully plotted to hurt you, it is that their own compulsions and unconsciousness led them to act in a way that broke your trust. But the question is, will you allow their ignorance to dictate your inner state? Will you let their actions hold power over you for the rest of your life? Most people never realize that forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about freeing yourself from the cycle of suffering. Right now, the person who betrayed you may not even be thinking about it. They may have moved on. But you are still carrying the wound, still replaying the moment, still feeling the pain. Who is truly suffering? Is it them, or is it you? And if it is you, then who is responsible for ending this suffering? If you wait for them to apologize, if you wait for justice to be served, you may wait forever. But if you take charge of your own well-being, you will see that freedom is in your hands. No one else has the power to release you from this pain except you. And that power lies in your ability to shift your perspective, to choose whether you hold on or let go. But letting go does not mean pretending that what happened did not hurt. It does not mean denying the pain or suppressing your emotions. It means seeing the pain for what it is, feeling it completely, and then making a conscious choice not to carry it anymore. If you keep resisting what has already happened, you will only deepen your suffering. Life is not happening according to your expectation. It never was, and it never will be. The problem is not that betrayal happened. The problem is that you believed life should only happen in a certain way. But tell me, has life ever followed your script? Or has it always moved in unpredictable ways? If you can accept that life will not always meet your expectations, you will not suffer when it does not. Some people believe that forgetting betrayal is a weakness. They think that if they forgive, it means they are allowing the person to win. But tell me, what does winning even mean? If you let go of resentment and move on with your life, are you losing, or are you freeing yourself? And if you hold on to hatred, keep feeding the pain, keep replaying the betrayal, are you punishing them, or are you punishing yourself? Forgetting does not mean losing the lesson. It does not mean making yourself vulnerable to the same situation again. It simply means that you are no longer allowing the past to dominate your present. That is the real power. When you can remember without suffering. When you can acknowledge what happened without it controlling you. Right now, your mind may be resisting this idea. It may say, but they hurt me, they destroyed my trust, they do not deserve forgiveness. But tell me, do you deserve peace? Do you deserve freedom? Do you deserve to live without carrying this weight in your heart? Because forgiveness is not about them, It is about you. It is about your ability to reclaim your own well-being. When you refuse to forgive, you remain a prisoner of the past. The betrayal may have lasted a moment, but by holding on to it, you are making it last a lifetime. Is that what you want? Do you want to carry this burden for the rest of your days? Or do you want to put it down and walk free? The key to overcoming betrayal is not in changing what happened, but in changing how you experience it. Right now, your emotions are attached to the event, making it seem unbearable. But have you ever noticed that as time passes, the intensity of pain fades? Something that seemed unbearable a year ago may no longer disturb you in the same way. Why? Because as time goes on, your mind starts detaching from it. What if you could do this consciously instead of waiting for time to do it for you? What if you could decide right now that you will not allow this event to have control over you any longer? Your suffering does not come from the betrayal itself. It comes from the story you tell yourself about it. It comes from the meaning you give to it. If you see it as the end of trust, the end of love, the end of your ability to be open, then it will be so. But if you see it as a lesson, an opportunity to grow, a chance to become stronger, then it will become that. Life is simply life. It is neither good nor bad. It is your perception that makes it so. And if you have the power to create suffering, you also have the power to create freedom. The moment you decide that you will not allow another person's actions to dictate your inner world, you reclaim your power. The moment you realize that forgiveness is not about them, but about your own liberation, you take a step towards true freedom. But this is not something that happens overnight. It is a process. It begins with awareness, with understanding, with seeing your suffering clearly. And once you see it clearly, once you truly understand that you are the one holding the pain, the choice to let go becomes natural. Not because someone else deserves it, but because you deserve peace. The mind is a strange thing. It clings to pain as if it were something valuable. When someone betrays you, the mind does not simply acknowledge the event and move on. No, it replays it over and over again, like a song stuck in a loop. Every time you think about it, the pain resurfaces. Every time you recall the words they said or the actions they took, it is as if the wound is fresh again. But have you ever stopped to ask, why am I doing this to myself? The betrayal happened once, but you are the one making it happen 1,000 times in your mind. Is this necessary? Is this wise? Or is this just a habit of the unconscious mind? Most people do not realize that suffering is not caused by an external event. It is caused by how you hold on to that event internally. The past is no longer happening, but in your mind you are keeping it alive. This is why you suffer. Not because of what happened, but because you refuse to let it rest. The idea of forgiveness troubles many people because they think it means accepting what happened as right. They think it means excusing the person who wronged them. But tell me, if someone betrays you, does your forgiveness make their action disappear? No, what has happened has happened. It cannot be undone. Then why should forgiveness be about them? Forgiveness is not about making someone else feel better. It is about liberating yourself from a burden that is weighing you down. Carrying resentment is like carrying a heavy stone everywhere you go. It slows you down. It drains your energy. And yet, you refuse to put it down because you believe that carrying it punishes the person who hurt you. But in reality, it is only punishing you. Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you allow someone else's ignorance to control your inner world? Many people think that forgetting betrayal means losing wisdom, as if remembering the pain will protect them from being hurt again. But tell me, does pain make you wiser, or does it make you bitter? Does holding on to the past make you stronger, or does it exhaust you? Forgetting does not mean losing the lesson. It simply means losing the emotional charge that keeps the event alive within you. When you can recall the betrayal without feeling anger, without feeling hurt, then you have truly let go. Then you have truly moved on. Until then, you are still a prisoner of that moment. And if you are a prisoner, then who holds the key? No one but you. You are the one keeping the pain alive, and you are the only one who can set yourself free. If you want to free yourself from suffering, the first step is to see things as they are. Right now, your mind is caught up in a web of emotions, making the betrayal seem bigger than it is. But step back and look at it. What actually happened? Someone acted in a way that broke your trust, that is all. The rest, the pain, the anger, the resentment, these are things you have added to the situation. If you remove all the emotional reactions, what remains? Just an event. Nothing more. And once you see this clearly, you will realize that the event itself has no power over you. It is only your attachment to it that creates suffering. You have to ask yourself, do I want peace, or do I want to hold on to pain? Many people say they want peace, but in truth they are not willing to let go of their suffering. They have become so identified with their pain that they do not know who they are without it. They wear their wounds like badges of honor, telling the story of how they were wronged again and again. But tell me, how long will you keep carrying this story? How long will you let it define you? If you truly want peace, then you must be willing to drop the story. You must be willing to stop identifying with your suffering. Only then can healing begin. Some may say, but they hurt me deeply, I cannot just forget it. That is true. You cannot force yourself to forget, but you can stop feeding the memory. Every time you think about it, every time you talk about it, you are reinforcing the pain. You are keeping it alive. If you stop engaging with the pain, if you stop giving it attention, slowly it will fade. It will lose its grip on you. Just as a fire dies when you stop adding wood to it, your suffering will dissolve when you stop fueling it. But if you keep stirring the fire, if you keep adding fuel, it will never end. So you must ask yourself, am I willing to let the fire die? Many people believe that justice must come before they can let go. They think, when they apologize, then I will forgive. When they suffer, then I will be free. But tell me, how long are you willing to wait for someone else to change before you allow yourself to be happy? What if they never apologize? What if they never understand what they did? Will you keep yourself in suffering forever because of their actions? Or will you take responsibility for your own inner world? Because that is the truth. Your emotions, your pain, your freedom, these are all in your hands. No one else has the power to give you peace. No one else has the power to take it away. The mind likes to believe that holding on to pain is necessary, that if you let go you are losing something. But tell me, what are you really losing? Are you losing wisdom, or are you losing suffering? Are you losing awareness, or are you losing chains? Letting go does not make you weak. It does not mean you are allowing people to take advantage of you. It means you are choosing to live fully, instead of being trapped in a past that no longer exists. It means you are reclaiming your life instead of giving it away to someone else's mistakes. True forgetting happens when you no longer need to remember. When the betrayal no longer has an impact on your present. When it no longer shapes your emotions. When it no longer determines how you live your life. That is when you have truly forgotten. Until then, you are still holding on. And holding on is a choice. The only question is, do you want to keep carrying this, or are you ready to set yourself free? The moment you realize that forgiveness is not about the other person, but about your own freedom, a great shift happens within you. You see, right now, you believe that your suffering is caused by the betrayal itself. But if that were true, then why do different people react differently to betrayal? Some people move on quickly, while others hold on to pain for years. This means that suffering is not in the event, but in the way you carry it within yourself. If you truly see this, then you will understand that you have the power to stop suffering no matter what has happened. The pain is not coming from outside, it is being created within you. And if it is being created within you, you have the ability to dissolve it. But most people do not want to take responsibility for their inner world. They want to blame someone else for their suffering. They want to believe that if the other person changes, they will feel better. But tell me, do you want to put your happiness in someone else's hands? Right now you are carrying a wound, and you think that holding on to it makes you stronger. But in reality, it is only making you heavier. It is like carrying a rock and believing that the longer you hold it, the more powerful you become. But if you simply drop the rock, you will see that true strength is not in carrying pain, but in freeing yourself from it. The problem is, people are so attached to their suffering that they fear letting it go. They believe that if they stop feeling hurt, it means what happened did not matter. But tell me, does moving on mean the betrayal never happened? No. It only means that you have decided not to let it control you anymore. The past is unchangeable, but your experience of it can change. And that change is in your hands, not in the hands of the one who betrayed you. People often confuse forgiveness with trust. They think that if they forgive, they must also trust again. But these are two separate things. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself, while trust is about setting boundaries. Just because you forgive does not mean you must allow the same person to hurt you again. If someone has shown you their nature, it is wise to learn from it. If a snake bites you, will you keep putting your hand in front of it? No, you will keep your distance, but you will not live in fear. In the same way, you do not have to hold resentment, but you also do not have to invite the same situation again. Forgiveness does not mean blindness. It means you see clearly but refuse to suffer because of what you see. It means you accept what has happened, but do not let it define your future. Most people who hold on to betrayal do so because they believe they need closure. They wait for an apology. They wait for the other person to understand their mistake. They wait for justice. But tell me, how long will you wait? What if that person never apologizes? What if they never understand? Will you keep your happiness on hold forever? If you see clearly, you will understand that waiting for someone else to change before you allow yourself to be free is the greatest mistake you can make. Why should your inner peace depend on someone else's actions? If you wait for them to heal you, you may wait a lifetime. But if you take responsibility for yourself, you will see that freedom is available to you in this very moment. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with betrayal is that they take it personally. They believe that if someone betrayed them, it means something is wrong with them. But tell me, does another person's actions define your worth? If someone is dishonest, does that mean you are unworthy of honesty? If someone is unfaithful, does that mean you are unworthy of loyalty? No, their actions are a reflection of who they are, not of who you are. But when you take it personally, you allow their actions to dictate how you see yourself. You allow their betrayal to make you feel less. This is the real betrayal, not what they did, but what you do to yourself because of it. The mind will always find reasons to hold on to pain. It will tell you that if you forgive, you are letting them win. It will tell you that if you let go, you are weak. But tell me, is it weakness to free yourself from suffering? Is it weakness to reclaim your own joy? Or is it weakness to let someone else's actions dictate your life? If you truly want to be free, you must stop listening to the mind's excuses. The mind wants to hold on to pain because it thrives on conflict. But you are not your mind. You are something far deeper, far greater. And if you have the power to create suffering, you also have the power to end it. Healing from betrayal does not mean pretending it never happened. It means seeing it clearly, learning from it, and moving beyond it. It means choosing peace over resentment, wisdom over bitterness, It means refusing to let someone else's mistake determine your happiness. This is true strength, not in holding on, but in letting go. But you must make this choice consciously. If you wait for time to heal you, you may carry this burden for years. But if you decide today that you will no longer let this pain define you, then healing begins now. Not tomorrow, not when they apologize, but now. Because the power to be free is always in your hands. Many people think they cannot move on because they are waiting to feel ready. But tell me, do you wait to feel strong before you put down a heavy weight? Or do you put it down first and then feel the relief? The same is true for betrayal. If you wait until you feel ready to forgive, you may wait forever. But if you forgive first, the readiness will follow. Do not let your mind trap you in suffering. You are not here to carry wounds forever. You are here to live, to grow, to experience life fully. And that is only possible when you stop clinging to the past and open yourself to the present. The moment you decide to let go, you will see freedom was always waiting for you. When you hold on to betrayal, you are not punishing the one who wronged you, you are punishing yourself. The weight of resentment is something you carry, not them. They may have moved on, they may not even think about what happened, but you are still living in the shadow of that moment. This is the irony of suffering. It is self-inflicted. The betrayal happened once, but every time you replay it in your mind, you are reliving it again and again. Have you ever noticed that the mind does not distinguish between memory and reality? If you close your eyes and think of a painful event, your body reacts as if it is happening now. Your heart rate increases, your breath becomes shallow, emotions rise within you. The past is not attacking you, you are attacking yourself with the past. If you truly understand this, then you will also understand that freedom is in your hands. The key to your liberation is not in the hands of the betrayer. It has always been with you. Most people think that letting go is something that happens naturally with time. But tell me, have you ever seen time heal anything by itself? If you have a deep wound on your body and you do not care for it, does it heal? Or does it get infected? Time does not heal. Only conscious attention heals. If you leave an emotional wound unattended, it will not fade, it will fester. And yet people say, I will move on when I feel ready. But when will you be ready? How will you know? If you are waiting for an external sign, you may wait forever. Readiness does not come first, letting go comes first, and readiness follows. The moment you make the decision to drop the pain, the process of healing begins. But if you keep feeding the pain, if you keep replaying the betrayal, you are only keeping yourself trapped in it. The door to your freedom is open, but you must be willing to step through it. People believe that if they forgive, they are letting the other person off the hook. But tell me, whose hook do you want to be free from? Theirs or your own? Forgiveness is not about the other person. It is about releasing yourself from the poison of resentment. Have you ever noticed how holding on to anger drains your energy? How thinking about betrayal steals your peace? If your suffering is costing you your joy, your clarity, and your ability to be present, then why would you choose to hold on to it? Why would you allow someone else's actions to dictate your experience of life? No one has the power to keep you in pain except you. No one can hold you captive in suffering unless you permit it. If you see this clearly, forgiveness becomes the obvious choice. Not for their sake, but for yours. Many believe that justice must come before forgiveness. They say, I will forgive when they admit their mistake. I will move on when they suffer as I have suffered. But tell me, is your peace something to be bargained with? Is your freedom something that depends on someone else's remorse? If you tie your healing to their actions, you are giving them control over your well-being. And what if they never admit their mistake? What if they never apologize? Will you let yourself remain in suffering forever? If you truly want peace, You must understand that justice and forgiveness are separate things. You can pursue justice if it is needed, but forgiveness is about removing the burden from your own heart. It is about choosing to no longer carry the weight of resentment no matter what the other person does or does not do. One of the reasons people struggle with letting go is because they believe the pain is protecting them. They think, if I keep this pain alive, I will never be hurt again. But tell me, does suffering make you stronger or does it make you weaker? Does holding on to the past keep you safe or does it keep you stuck? True strength is not in carrying pain, it is in transcending it. If you have been hurt before, you have already learned the lesson. There is no need to keep revisiting the pain. A wise person does not touch fire twice to remember that it burns. Once is enough. If you have been betrayed, take the wisdom, take the awareness, but leave the suffering behind. There is no need to carry what no longer serves you. Some people will say, but I cannot forgive because the pain is too deep. But tell me, does depth make pain permanent? Does intensity mean it must last forever? No. Even the deepest wounds can heal if you allow them to. Even the most intense emotions will fade if you stop feeding them. Your suffering persists because you are keeping it alive. If you stop fueling the fire, it will die out. The only question is, are you willing to stop feeding the pain? Are you willing to allow healing to happen? Or are you still holding on because you believe suffering gives you something? This is the real question you must ask yourself. What do I believe I am gaining by holding on to this? Because the truth is, you are not gaining anything. You are only losing. Losing time, losing peace, losing the opportunity to live fully in the present. Some say, but forgetting is impossible. Yes, forgetting in the sense of erasing memory is not in your control, but forgetting in the sense of losing the emotional charge, that is in your hands. Have you noticed how over time, things that once hurt you deeply no longer have the same power over you? This is because emotions fade when you stop engaging with them. If you stop feeding a memory with anger, if you stop revisiting it with resentment, eventually it will become just a neutral fact like any other event in life. The problem is, most people keep reopening the wound. They keep replaying the story. And each time they do, they reinforce the pain. But if you stop engaging with the story, if you stop identifying with the suffering, it will dissolve on its own. This is not about pretending it never happened. It is about no longer allowing it to shape your present moment. People often say, but how do I let go? The answer is simple, but not easy. You must make a conscious decision to stop feeding the pain. Every time your mind brings up the betrayal, you have a choice. You can either entertain it, analyze it, and add more emotion to it, or you can choose to shift your attention to the present. You can choose to focus on what is alive in this moment, rather than what is dead in the past. Letting go is not a single action, it is a practice. Every day, every moment, you must choose freedom over suffering. And if you choose it again and again, one day you will realize that the past no longer holds you. The weight will be gone, and you will wonder why you carried it for so long. The beauty is, that day can be today, if you are willing to step into it.